Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the law of attraction, Manifesting Success Stories show comes in. If you are ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I am back with Anita Dambavari for her 5th interview in her series of growth. So welcome, Anita.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you today. I'm always excited to talk to you about it.
I'm excited too.
Yeah. First, will you share what's awesome and what abundance has shown up recently?
Recently, I've just been having a really great time at work. I've been getting back into my fitness routine. So physically, I've been feeling really good. I've been cooking so much awesome food that everybody loves. So that's felt really nice and delicious.
It's awesome.
And got a facial yesterday, and things at home and in the relationship are going very well.
Yay.
Feeling overall abundant and excited for each new day's things. Whatever comes up, I know that it's positive. So,
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. And you recently completed Manifest 10K.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Finally. I think I might have taken the longest of anybody to complete that.
Oh, no, you did not.
Okay. It felt like a very long time.
I get it. But nope, you definitely didn't.
Okay.
So what is different since you started?
I'm definitely a lot more relaxed about money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not nervous about it at all.
Love it.
Yeah.
And so what differences in your life happen because of that, right? Because you're just relaxed and not worried about it.
Well, just my anxiety level has decreased, obviously.
That's
which
awesome.
Has an overall impact on everything.
Yes.
Mike doesn't have to deal with as much of my craziness. So.
That's always good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And so let's talk about your Manifest 10K list, because we have an interview. And so by the numbers, sort of your total of Manifest 10K is not at 10K, right? And we did like an episode about that. I totally probably should have told you get that ready before. But the last total I saw was, do you have it?
I do. And
I
awesome. Believe it's the same as what I posted. It is $6,041.45.
Ooh, awesome. I love it. And how does that feel?
It feels great.
I love it. Awesome.
Feels really
and good. I love it. And we were having a discussion the other day on a call, and you said, because I want to talk about the list versus the number, because so many people, one of the reasons we do the list is so we can see how the universe provides other ways, or maybe the things that we don't necessarily think to count, but are like creating what we want. Because I think so often, and tell me if this is how you started. Did you think it was going to be like, okay, I'm going to make a list, and then I'm going to get like money in for all this, and then I'm going to go pay for all these things, or I'm going to go do all these things? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, but I think you looked the other day. Is everything on your Manifest 10K list? Do you have it?
Let's see. I think it's pretty close. I don't have it to like the extent that I wrote down necessarily, but I don't feel that is a loss.
Yeah.
I definitely have some nice new wardrobe pieces.
Which I remember you got it like on a sale, or like you're inspired, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I went to Greece. So we had our awesome romantic vacation. I had $3,000 for our new house fund to help with the closing costs. That has exceeded what I wrote down. It is now $5,625.
Woohoo!
So that feels amazing. Let's see. Beauty treatments. I've been doing those regularly.
Awesome.
For the most part. Definitely been buying comedy show tickets and music show tickets. And I got all the fitness equipment that I wanted to get.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And
so I think there's like 3 things on there that I didn't get, but one of them is like flowers and gardening, which isn't happening at this time anyway.
Oh,
so feel bad about
true.
that.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm excited to see how it comes back. I'm going to make a note for us to like remember, because I'm sure it will show up next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the springtime when it's time for that.
Right.
Yeah. I love it. So how do you feel when you look at the list and you're like, oh, like I did all that, and it was, how would you classify it as easy or relaxed? Like how did all of that come? How would you say it came?
Definitely relaxed. Like I didn't feel any pressure to be putting money into these categories. It just happened.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fabulous. And then like the house fund, when you're like, oh, there's more money, like, was that easier? Did it just sort of happen? Because there was a moment where you were sort of like, ooh, how am I going to get the money for that and this? And it sort of worked out. But is it, it's well exceeded the 3K that you wanted. So did it just sort of happen in an easy way? Like, oh, here's extra money?
Yeah. Yeah. It just, every time I had extra money, I just threw it in there.
That's awesome.
Never looked back. So that was,
yay.
Yeah, it was going really smoothly, and I'm sure it will continue to go smoothly.
Yeah, I agree. And how does it impact, like when you think about wanting, not bigger things, but the next level or bigger things, like when you're like, look at it and you're like, oh, I got all this and it was pretty easy.
Yeah, it gives me a lot of faith that bigger things will also come easily if I continue the work.
Yay. That's awesome.
That's the key though. If I continue the work.
Right? Yeah. Which is, for those listening, like that is the key, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. And I love it seems anytime somebody's feeling stuck, you say, go script. And it's so true, because every time I script, I feel a lot better and feel back on track.
Awesome. Yay. Yeah. It's amazing. Like just as humans, like we just don't notice or something that like, oh, we notice that it feels different, but we don't notice like, oh yeah, I haven't been doing that thing that, whatever the work is, whatever anybody's work is, like, oh, I haven't been doing assignments or I haven't been scripting. Like, oh, that's probably why I feel off for the last 5 days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Were you, remind me what your manifesting, like, what was your manifesting experience before joining the Enchanted Circle?
Hustler.
Yeah. And did that apply to money as well as like trying to manifest? Were you like a manifesting hustler? Like you're trying to do all the things and.
I wasn't that focused on manifesting. I was definitely more focused on how do I acquire more.
Yes. Got it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You were total hustle and no mindset, no creation, no letting it happen.
Yeah. No, I felt like it had to be forced. If it was going to happen, like I had to just bear down and do it.
Oh my goodness. So you've made a total shift to like, I just have to do the assignments and it's going to happen. Yeah. Oh, how does that feel?
So good.
It's so awesome. Like, yes.
Yeah, it's totally different. I mean, I can't wait to see what the next year brings too.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be awesome. I love it. Yeah. Speaking of like hustling and allowing and not forcing, you recently had like a business idea pop up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And is it cool? This isn't a little, you can see the potential of another 4 to 5K a month, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so how'd you feel when that popped up?
I felt so awesome. I mean, the way it popped up was pretty interesting. I was looking into these courses I wanted to take and found out that they're $12,000, which seems out of reach at this time,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe later down the road. But that evening I kept thinking about it. And as I was going to sleep, I just kind of said silently in my head, universe, bring me lots of money.
Mm-hmm.
In case you're confused, I would like lots of money. So please bring it to me now or soon. And the funny thing is, I woke up the next day and immediately this business idea popped into my head. Like it was the first thing I thought of, and it just
Mm-hmm.
clicked. I was like, oh my gosh, I could totally see this working.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And so fun. And so then what's happened since then?
Well, since then, I've realized the challenges to making it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little stressed about how to overcome those challenges and make this business happen. And you directed me to stop thinking about it and just wait a week and see what happens. And a week will be in 3 days. Not that I've been counting down. But every time I think about it, I try to think about something else. Like, no, Cassie said you can't think about this. So
yes.
Redirect.
Yeah. How's that going?
It's going pretty well.
Yeah.
I still think about it, but it's getting easier and easier as the days go on to not think about it.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And for those listening, this is really when, because the more you grow, the more you have to, or the more it's, I don't know, part of growth learning is separating like, okay, this was inspired action to help me see possibility. And this is like the inspiration that I need to follow up on. And so if like, we don't know that yet. Like, that's the thing. We don't even know, like, cause there's no way in the beginning to go like, oh yeah, this is the answer, or it's not. Like, as you go and you discover like what it feels like inside of you and what happens inside your brain as this process goes along, like 4 years from now, you'll be able to be like, oh no, that's a how, like, oh yeah, go do this. It's inspired just based on the feeling. And the way we get to that point is really understanding, okay, when we're coming up with challenges and all the questions are about, well, how do I get around this? Or how do I don't think you asked this, but people ask this, like, how do I manifest, this not happening, like
Mm-hmm.
if you find a challenge, or how do I manifest a way to get around this? Right. And yours are like a little more logical, I feel like, but anytime we're like, okay, how do I, even if that thing is inspired, it's the sign that we put it down and we enjoy the inspiration. And so one of the things I said to you is this is about enjoying this possibility of 4 to 5K. Like, what does that mean in your life? And so what does 4 to 5K more in your life a month? What does that mean to you? What changes in your life? What's fun about that?
Oh, it's so fun. I wrote a whole script about it. And it just would make my life so much freer and obviously more abundant. More money equals
Mm-hmm.
I can spend more on the things I like or choose not to go to work when I don't want to. I can have more spa time. I can have more vacations without dipping into any of, the day-to-day expenses. It would just be extra money, which is so free and fun. And I feel like I could be very generous with that as well.
That's awesome. So how does it feel when you play in that space?
Really exciting.
Hey, that's awesome. Yeah. And that is one of the keys when these exciting opportunities, or we see those things come up, is to stay in that space of what feels good. And we hit the like, oh, this is a challenge, or how do I do this? It's a chance to just go back and play.
Right.
Like, play and have fun and feel into what that would be like, because sometimes what's happening, and it's going to be fun because we have this like recorded in real time, we'll get to see the outcome. We get to see whether this was just the opportunity that got you to play in that realm and open up for something else, or whether this is the thing that goes forward.
Right.
But anytime, again, when it's like, oh, the how, it's the cue to go back and play, because the playing is part of the becoming, right? It's getting used to, oh, and then I have that money next month, and then I have that money next month, and then I have that money next month. Yeah.
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 Well, I have complete faith that I will have an extra $4,000 in my life monthly.
Yes, I love that.
Yes.
And
I would really love it to be this idea and for that to go well. But if it's not, it's not.
Yeah. What does that feel like to have the trust instead of the hustle?
It feels good. It feels empowering.
Yeah.
Like maybe hustling was having very little faith in things actually working out.
Yeah. Which totally, like, as I see, and I know some of the backstory about this idea, like I can see how that kind of played out, you know, before in your life when you were in the middle of the hustle and then you'd hit things that like were awesome and then didn't work.
Yeah. And I grew up that way with my parents being extreme hustlers and always saying, like you have to work really, really, really hard to get anywhere in life. And, people will try to take money from you and just all these like really negative messages that I realize now. And even when I talk to my mom now, some of the things she says, she's always just like, those phrases like, oh, money just keeps going out. Money just keeps going out. I can't get anybody to do anything because she's a real estate investor. So they do a lot of fixing up and renting. And she repeats a lot of really negative stories that I haven't really brought to her attention at this point because I don't know how, but
yeah.
But I notice them, and I notice when other people are saying different things that are not a great story to have.
Yeah. Well, and you've become really, really quickly, I would say you've developed like I don't have to take that on or I'll just tell a different story. Like I remember you telling a story about, someone at work and you're like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. And they're like, oh, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, oh, watch, like in your head, right? I can't remember. Did you say it out loud yet? Or is this still happening? Did it happen in your head?
No, I said it out loud.
I love it.
Of course it's going to happen.
Right. I love it. Have you, did you do a lot of, well, you're obviously conscious about catching your stories, but what are some of the things that you've done to sort of navigate the rest of the world? Like your mom, do you just like put on a shield and be like, yep, that's cool, whatever you think? Or how do you sort of navigate that now that you have this different perspective and you're not a hustler anymore?
I definitely do a lot of redirecting of the conversation if it turns negative. And I just notice it in my head, and it's just more of a reminder to myself to keep paying attention to what I say as well. Because I probably notice it on others more than I notice it within myself.
Right. Yeah.
So I try to remain calm and listen and think about how I can let this affect me or not affect me and move forward.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And sometimes I have feelings about it, and I have learned to feel those feelings and just let myself, if I'm going to be sad or angry or any of those things, I can do that. I can spend time letting myself feel the feelings.
Yes. That's awesome.
Yes.
And so awesome at work. Because I think you have a lot of opportunity. Different people we all have opportunity in our world, but I think your work in particular gives you a lot of opportunities to come up against a lot of different stories from different people.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And so you get lots of practice, right? Which is awesome. Yeah. Do you have any, does it just become habit, or do you have any keys or things you remind yourself of before kind of you go into work? Or
let me think about that. I do try to actively tell myself that I'm going to have a good day and not to take anything personally.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And sometimes that's easier said than done, but people will get to me occasionally, but it's brief, like it goes much quicker than it used to. I used to like stew on things for hours.
Yes.
And now it's just like, okay, that person pissed me off. I'll think about it for maybe like 10 minutes and then it's gone.
let it go. I love it. Awesome. That's fabulous. Speaking of things that don't go well, have you been back to that Chipotle?
I have not.
Okay. I was like,
no.
People are going to want to know, which is awesome. Like sometimes that's what happens too, right? Is it just like, I'm not going to take care of it. So like you haven't had to deal with it in over a month.
Yeah. I've maybe been through there once in the last month and just didn't feel like going. But they did send me 3 free meal coupons instead of 2 that they said. So
of course they did. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I gave 1 to my friend and I still have 2 I can.
Oh, that's so amazing. I love it. Very cool. And one other thing I want to make sure that we talk about today is just every time you've realized like you've done the work and you've created this and you're building that trust and and so the way it's playing out in your life, will you talk about relaxing and more money showing up?
Yeah, I've just figured out with your help that the more I relax, the more money comes in. And earlier in the year, I was stressed about how Airbnb would go and how my bookings would go for the winter. Historically, I didn't have too many, but I was doing things a little bit differently as well. So I've just totally let go of that, and they still keep coming in.
That's awesome. Like more than last winter?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of last minute, but they're coming in, and eventually the month is pretty much booked. So
that's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. So how much, just ballpark off your head, because I didn't tell you to prepare for this, but do you have a guess of how much percentage it's better this month, like this year than last year?
Well, I just really have November to go off of. As like a winter month. But I'm going to say 50% better.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And we're going to tell that story. It's 50% better this year. So that just keeps riding through the winter.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. How does that feel?
Feels great. It feels just relaxing. And I already have a great story if it's not booked. And that story is I can go home and chill in my own house and enjoy that time.
Yeah.
And there is plenty of money to pay the mortgage.
That feels like so good. And like, yeah. Is that the story you would have told last year? Like I can go home?
No, last year it was like, why isn't this getting booked? I need to keep lowering the price, which I mean, I do still have to lower the price a little, but it is getting booked. I'm not saying why isn't this getting booked? I'm just saying it'll get booked.
I love it.
And if it doesn't, that's fine.
Right. Which is the magic, right? I still get to go home. Like either is awesome.
Right.
And so naturally more money flows in because there's not this like, oh my gosh, it has to happen kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm relaxed. I make enough money to pay for the mortgage. So
yay. I love it. I love it. Very cool. All right. So what are you looking forward to? So you're in the middle, just about the next time that we interview, you'll have done the Future Self Workshop. What are you looking forward to in the next year?
Definitely more money.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to just a better relationship with my boyfriend and his children.
Awesome.
And more fun.
Yay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. And if people are coming to Colorado and they need an awesome place both to go to Red Rocks and downtown, tell them how they can book your Airbnb, find out about it, because where you stay matters. And if you're listening to this podcast, you probably want good energy where you're staying.
Yes. And the house has very good energy. It's very cute. The link is airbnb.com/h/little farmhouse.
Awesome. I love it. Cool. Any final thoughts or things as we wrap up today that you want to share?
I'm so excited for Thanksgiving.
Yay! Oh yeah. What are you most excited about? Excited about cooking, the get together, just all of it as a whole package?
All of it. But I love cooking, so that's going to be fun.
Yay. Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing this moment in your journey with us.
Yes.
Yeah. It's been a blast. And thank you all for listening. Make sure to come back and check out Anita's next interview.
Thank you for joining us on the Law of Attraction Manifesting Success Stories show. To learn how to attract more money into your life, go to your favorite book retailer and order Cassie's book, Manifest $10,000.